Hello and welcome, dear listeners, episode 255 of the Reform Gamers Show, all about theology, video games, and web slinging our way around New York. I'm one of your hosts, Logan.
And I am his co-host, Micah.
I'm going to be honest, I had a little bit of just like a brain stall right there where I said and I'm your host, and I was just going to leave it there, and I was like, wait, pick it back up, end it, say your name.
Dude, some listeners might know, in the football season, I record a fantasy football podcast with like my local league. It's very small, and we have a lot of, it's basically all like in jokes. Anyway, last night we were recording, and I did the intro, and I completely screwed it up. Like, yeah, we're doing that all over again. Yep. So I completely understand, like, getting in certain rhythms, and then just when you're not in them, you're like, wait, where am I?
Yeah. Who am I? What is, I'm Ron Burgundy?
Exactly.
Dang it, who put the question mark on the teleprompter? No, man, it happens, man. It's just one of those things. This even happens to me even when I'm teaching too. I'll have a thought and then just stop, and my students will stare at me, and I'm just like, I don't know what I was gonna say.
Just getting old, you know?
Yeah, it is what it is, dude. That's the one thing I hate about getting old is like, I'm not as good as I once was, to quote Toby Keith, the great country singer, and it's just, man, it's a bummer.
Yeah, it's that rolling. Everyone talks about rolling out of bed. Once you try to get up out of bed, and you're like, oh, like that just cracked. Yep. That doesn't feel good. Why does it feel this way? Bro. I'm gonna have a bad day. These kinds of thoughts.
Yeah, man.
As you're getting out of bed.
And it's funny because I know I'm getting old because one of my coworkers, I don't want to say he's old, but he's up there in age, and me and him like just complain about our problems, like how we can't hear, or like it's that time. It's that age.
I think for people like you and I, it's the constant headphones. Too much gaming, too much loud rock and roll, too much metal.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Just if I could go back and tell 16-year-old me to turn the music down, he wouldn't listen.
Just turn it down from 11 down to 9, and you'll be good.
Yeah, you'll be all right. Trust me, your car does not need to rattle all the way through your small town. You don't look that cool doing it, my guy.
Nope.
But yeah. Anyway, dear listeners, we've got a lot to talk about this episode here. We are going to be covering Spider-Man 2. No, not the one on PlayStation 2 in the GameCube, or the Sam Raimi classic, which is arguably one of the best Spider-Man films ever made.
Yeah.
But we are covering the latest from Insomniac, just dropping this amazing game just in a year of amazing games. But this one definitely is a standout. It's got a lot of fun stuff to talk about, and we're going to get into it. If you are new to the show and how we do these episodes, typically we have a portion where you can listen up until, and you are spoiler free, you're good to go. And then there will be a timestamp where it's clear spoiler zone. If you go in there, you do so at your own risk. So just keep an eye out on the timestamps there. I'll have those in there for you, and you'll be ready to rock and roll with that. Now, a couple things we got to get through in our housekeeping here. I'm going to start with the sad one first, so that way we can roll into the good stuff and maybe kind of ease that pain a little bit here. This is going to be a little hard, and so I'm going to do my best to kind of talk about it. But just over the last few years, something I have been just constantly thinking about and debating is, what does the future of TRG look like? Does the show ever have an end? If it does, what does that look like? When does that happen? And there's always been something that's kind of come up where it kind of puts some more wind in my sails. I'm like, okay, we'll push that off for another day. We'll push that off for another day. We'll push that off for another day. But this year, specifically when this new school year started and I got more responsibilities at school, started getting more plugged in at my church and getting more responsibilities with that. And even here recently with the passing of my dad, it's forced me to really kind of pull back and go, okay, let's evaluate several things here, because it really feels like I'm doing too much. And unfortunately, what that's led to is me coming to the conclusion that I think this is the time for the podcast TRG to end this year. So what that means is we've got this episode. We've got a couple episodes in December left to record, to cover. Obviously, Game of the Year is one thing that we will definitely be covering. But we will be riding into 2024 with that. So TRG, the podcast itself, will not return in 2024. If you are a patron, this gives you plenty of time to, go, okay, do I want to give them a last little kind of hoorah thing for December, or do I want to go ahead and cancel my pledge? That's fine. For those who do stick around until the end of December, we've got some episodes of Talk TRG coming your way for $5 and up patrons, and so you'll have that as well. But that kind of begs the question, what does that mean? Like, what does that mean for the Discord? What does that mean for YouTube? All those other things. Discord server is going to keep going. As long as people are hanging out, having fun, and the mods are cool with modding it still, I will still be in there. That's not going anywhere. That's still going to be around. We'll still have watch parties and things like that in there, so we'll still have some fun over there. YouTube channel's not going anywhere. The episodes and stuff, like our past episodes, will still be on there. And you can get those. I still have Trails games to play, so I will still be streaming because it's like I'm going to be playing them anyway. Might as well put that up there so we can hang out over there as well. The website will still be up. It'll just have a very different URL where it's going to revert back to a free WordPress website where it's just reformgamers.wordpress.com. So if there's an article on there that you see that you want to share with people, that's going to be there for you. Or maybe if you want to revisit a different episode or something like that, that's going to be on there as well. But yeah, as far as that goes, that's kind of the bad news I want to start the show
Logan,
with.
I'm gonna try to speak for everyone here, and my lights just blipped. Am I
I
still
just
good?
noticed. Yeah, you're
I'm just
good.
making sure my power just didn't blip. I guess we're still recording.
Yeah, you're here.
Okay. So I'm going to try to speak for everyone here and say that this is truly the end of an era for
Yeah,
a lot of us here in the community. And what you have primarily helped build here is something special and something that is certainly going to be missed. I know I will. We were talking about this pre-show, and I just started tearing up talking about it and
yeah,
reminiscing and talking about some of the different aspects of how it's been awesome. And yeah, so we are absolutely going to miss the podcast. We're going to miss
yeah,
hearing your voice all the time. We're going to miss kind of just having that biweekly check in.
yeah.
Yeah, this has been an absolutely incredible run. 9+ years, correct?
You're gonna be hitting 9. Yeah,
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 on 9 years, and so yeah, this is. We all understand life gets crazy. No one should expect that a podcast would go this long anyway.
yeah,
So, from the bottom of my heart, I want to say thank you, Logan, for
yeah,
what you've done up to this point, what you've built, and just kind of the community. And I know it's not just your work; it's a lot of people
yeah,
doing a lot of different things. But yeah, we're gonna have some fun here. The remainder of 2023, like you
yeah,
said, game of the year episode coming up here at the end of December. That'll probably be our final episode, more than likely.
yeah,
Yeah, we're gonna have some fun with it. But yeah,
yeah,
definitely
man.
wanted to just kind of express my gratitude for the
Yeah.
podcast and the community and everything. And it's been an absolutely blast.
Yeah, man. Well, I'll get into this in the final episode, but I definitely want to thank you because, man, if you hadn't come on when you did, I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure the show would have ended like 2 years ago or whenever it was you came on, man. So I definitely
Yeah,
appreciate that. You definitely helped shoulder a lot of the burden, a lot of the weight, as did Skinner and some of the other people that you will see returning
yeah,
on the final episode of this podcast. So with
yeah,
that being said, we still have plenty of episodes to go, and plus we've got some episodes of other podcasts we'll be making appearances on that you can go check out. I had the opportunity to go join Melvin over on his podcast, Cinematic Doctrine, and talk about the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which I was actually pleasantly surprised by. I actually enjoyed it, and I'm not much of a FNAF guy, but I was like, this is good. This is better than what I thought it would be. And then we'll also be on Feel and Film here pretty soon with Aaron L. White, one of our patrons and longtime listeners, to discuss the Gran Turismo movie. So I guess me badgering him a little bit on the last episode and kind of ribbing him a little bit worked. But no, I'm kidding. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm excited to talk about that. That movie is really good. So I can't wait to do that. So y'all be checking out. Keep an eye out for that. If the episode's released by the time this episode goes to public feeds, I'll include a link to both of those so you can go check those out for yourself. Now, a few other things I want to get to real quick. I tried to figure out how I was going to fit Skinner's write-in in here. but I didn't know where it fit. So I'm just going to fit it in right now. And this will kind of lead into our other topic I want to talk about here. He asked, how long do you think they're going to keep the $500 price point for the PS consoles? I mean, I think as long as
Hmm.
people keep buying them.
Yeah, I think so. What you'll see, and I kind of mentioned something about this last episode. What you're starting to see is, the bundles or like the sale prices because a certain outlet wants to have a sale, or a Black Friday thing. So I think the main thing you're going to see right now is the $500 price with a game. Like go get Spider-Man 2 and the
Hmm.
PS5 for $500.
Hmm.
And then between now and next holiday season, I would say you might see some random sales from random outlets where it
Yeah.
might go down to 450, maybe
Hmm.
even 400. But I think next year, this time next year, we will have the PlayStation 5 Pro, and that's when they're going to drop the price of the current
Yeah.
console because
Yeah.
I bet the Pro will be 500, and then that means the current one, the one they just came out with the detachable disk drive, will be probably 400, I would guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
But even still, that's what would that be? Sorry to interrupt, Logan, but that would be
No, you're
4
fine.
years into the life cycle, and the thing is only dropped. Well, if you count the digital edition, that thing was
Hmm.
$400 at launch, right?
I think
So
so. I can't remember
so yeah, it
correctly.
was 400 and 500. So
Yeah.
like it's almost like 4 years have passed and the price hasn't really changed much at all. So that's
Yeah.
kind of yeah, we're in a little bit of unprecedented times as far as that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Just
Yeah.
the inflation in the economy and everything.
Yeah.
They're gonna try to milk that stuff for a little bit longer. At least Sony will. I
Yeah.
think you'll probably
100%.
see discounts of Xbox Series before PS.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, and then whatever the Nintendo decides to do next will have an effect. If their new system comes
Yeah.
out and completely dominates,
Yeah.
like even more than the Switch, like you could see maybe some aggressive discounts for
Yeah.
PlayStation 5
For
then.
sure. Man, it'd be crazy. But we all know, Skinner's even said on this podcast, he's always a generation behind. My guy, just wait until the PlayStation 6 comes out. And then
Yeah.
that's when you strike on the
Yeah.
PlayStation 5 and get yourself one. Or several. I don't know. But you do what you want. But they got me thinking, man, because we're recording on November 15th. By the time this hits public feeds, it's going to be well after uh, Thanksgiving, Black Friday. So for those of you, hey, they're listening. Happy Thanksgiving. Came a little bit late, but if you're a patron, you get this early, so it's right on time. But man, Black Friday is always something that we look forward to. We've always looked forward to it on this podcast. Is there
Yeah.
anything that you are looking forward to picking up on Black Friday, or any kind of deals that you're hoping to snag? I know Sony just announced theirs are going to be starting 2 days after we're recording here on the 17th.
Right.
But man, is there anything you're hoping to get?
Always one of the things I look for is like re-upping my subscriptions, like getting
Yep.
another year of PlayStation Plus or,
Yep.
which would have been Xbox Live, just Game Pass or whatever, that kind of thing. If there's some reasonable discounts there, you might want to snag that. Personally, the one thing that I was looking forward to, I actually already found a deal on it and snagged it. It was Super Mario Brothers Wonder. I got
Nice.
for $30 the other day on Home Shopping Network.
Wait. The one where you call in and
Well,
you.
yes, but no. Like it was just a Wario 64 thing, and it's like for
Okay.
if you're new to Home Shopping Network, you use this certain code, Holiday 23, and it gives you like an extra 20% off or
Wow,
something on
dude.
like an already sale price that was going on for Wonder.
Man,
So I got a brand new Nintendo game for $30, and it's
that's
coming in the
awesome.
mail. It's actually going to be one of the Christmas gifts for my son Ellison.
Yeah. Right on,
So
man.
I'll have to wait to play that until after Christmas. But
Yeah.
I knew I was definitely wanting to get that. I was like, let's see if I can find a Black Friday. And then, dude, when I saw that $30 thing, I
Man,
was like, yes, please, let's go.
dude. That's awesome. That's a really good get. That's kind of the crazy thing about Black Friday now is, there's a time where it was just relegated to one weekend in November. Now it seems like once November hits, once Halloween's over, boom, here's your Black Friday deals for literally every outlet. And
Especially by mid-November, like November 15th, like it is
yeah,
today. Like
yeah,
I'm seeing stuff every day, like
yeah,
just
man,
swirling around. So
dude.
yeah.
It's a good time. It's a good time.
How about you?
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be re-upping my subs for the PlayStation Plus. Just I think I'm just gonna do the base one and go for that.
Sure.
There's not really too many games I'm looking forward to because a lot of them I've already gotten. You know, Super Mario RPG comes out soon, but I got the Nintendo voucher back over the summer, so that's taken care of. Not really much I'm looking at in terms of video games. I did see that Sony is going to have some discounts on their gear, like their
Yeah.
apparel and all that. But my wife and I are already Christmas shopping for one another, so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna let her. I'm gonna let her handle that. She knows my style. She knows what I like. I'm gonna
Yeah.
let her pick that stuff up.
It's kind
But
of
yeah,
off topic a little bit, but it's a great time of year if you're looking for something like an iPad, or something like you're going to see
yeah,
some great deals,
yeah,
laptops, things of that nature. If you're in the market for something like that, definitely check out your Best Buys and things like
yeah.
that. They'll have some cool deals, I think.
Absolutely, absolutely. I gotta say, I really like my iPad. Not that I'm trying to sell people on it, but I've got one. I use it for school and I use it for drawing and things like that. Man, they're pretty slick. If you get it with a pencil and you're into art, dude,
Yeah.
it's a good time. It's a good
Hmm.
time. Of course, I know some people are listening like, well, I can just buy like a $20 notepad and like a $7 pencil, and I was like, okay, that's true. That's true. You
Yeah.
can,
Yeah.
but you get a little more options inside of the Procreate app, which is really cool. But I'm not going to get into that because I could talk about that for hours. But yeah, so with that being said, dear listeners, let us know if you picked up any games or anything, any sweet deals for Black Friday over in the Discord. We do have it's a channel called What's Your Deal? Like, what kind of deal did you find? So if you find anything cool, share it in there. Let's see those hauls, and definitely hit up that food channel for Thanksgiving. Let's see the food. That's really
Oh,
what we're
yeah.
here for. Let's see the food. Let's see what y'all are cooking. Let's see it. Let's see it. All right, let's get into the show proper with a little bit of what have we been playing. And as always, let's kick things off with some TRG Kids. Micah, what have your kids been
M-
playing?
Man, if it wasn't for my two youngest ones, this would be the most boring segment ever because my oldest Layla will not stop playing Minecraft. So that
Wow.
she's just doing that. But the other two, I mentioned Crash Team Racing last episode. They're still doing a little bit of that, but they're also they got back into Minecraft Dungeons, which is of course the
Mm,
Diablo style Minecraft game. Just a lot of fun.
yeah,
This game is great. I've played this with
it's
them a good
it's
bit.
good. Yeah.
And they have got back into it, and man, this is the kind of stuff I love because I think back to when I was a kid. They're in this room playing. They're playing on this TV right back here that you can see, and
Hmm.
like me and my wife are in the kitchen, and they're just yelling about like getting away from this boss or getting this boss or whatever.
Yeah.
Just not at each other, but just at the game and just at the
Right.
situation and just having a blast. They're having a blast. Um, so yeah, Minecraft Dungeons is getting back in the rotation for the kids. So yeah, great recommendation there. Transitioning to me, the only thing I've been playing since the last episode is I bought and booted up Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, man.
Um, the game of the year nominated. Alan Wake 2 from this year's Game Awards. Maybe we can talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
anywho, haven't gotten very far in this game. Maybe
Okay.
5-ish hours, somewhere around there.
Okay,
And
so we're probably around the same area then.
yeah, again, I'm just really busy with life right now. I haven't had a
Yeah.
ton of time to play, and this is I really am upset, quote unquote. It's just this is the type of game you really need to kind of hunker down with and
Yep.
play. And I've taken too many days off
Yep.
where I'm already kind of half forgetting because there's so much
Yeah.
like story wise going on that you have to keep up with.
Mhm.
But let me get into my thoughts here. The things that stand out for me in these first few hours is the art direction and like the tone and atmosphere
Yeah.
are really and the writing, of course, with Sam Lake at the helm, it's going to be good. Also, if you're a fan of the first game, you know what you're getting into with the style of writing and how the character Alan Wake does his writing. And
Mhm.
so there's a lot of that laced throughout the game. And really I talk about the tone and atmosphere. The first several hours, I don't know how spoiler I want to get.
Yeah.
I think most people know that you play as two characters.
Mhm.
You play as Alan, and you play as this FBI agent named Saga, and her sections are, uh, I'm like deeply falling in love with because it's very like detective like, and
Mhm.
you're piecing together your clues that you find, and you can go into her headspace, which is like inside of a
Yeah.
cabin. It's like visualized inside of a cabin, and
Mhm.
you have your crime board on the wall with all the like your red lines like
Mhm.
connecting to the dots and stuff. And when you find different clues around, like it goes up on the board, and you can maybe have an epiphany of what might have happened, and
Yep.
all of that is handled very well, and I like that a lot. It's really my kind of pace as far as like
Mhm.
the pace of the game, as far as how fast it is. Like, it just looking around, I like kind of doing that. It's very, Resident Evil 2 style, that kind of survival
Mhm.
horror. It's got that vibe,
Yeah.
it's got that kind of feel and pace to it. So I'm really loving everything about it as far as that goes. It's it feels like right now, it feels like the movie Seven to me, that old Brad Pitt movie.
Oh,
It
yeah.
feels like a video game version of that. And
Yeah.
that will lead me into to say this is a very, very adult game.
Mhm.
Absolutely not for kids.
Yeah.
There is a again, I don't want to be spoilery, but right from the get go, there's just
Mhm.
some male nudity just right at the get
Mhm.
go. And so it's like, okay, we're doing this. And so, player beware. I think you probably know what you're getting into if you're playing Alan Wake 2. Um, but I it, everything that's been presented so far with the story, and this is absolutely, you have to play Alan Wake 1. You
Yeah.
are benefited if you play games like Control and stuff. There's already I've
Mhm.
found like so many Control references already. It's not even
Same.
funny. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is they're not even like, this is clear
Yeah.
as day. This is just what it is.
That like
So
they wasted no time.
yeah. Not I have incomplete thoughts. There's still a lot to play on this game, but so far it's living up to the billing. I see
Mhm.
why it's nominated for Game of the Year so
Yep.
far in these first few hours. We'll
Yep.
see how it goes. But yeah, I think listeners know that this game was gonna be right up my alley, so I was probably gonna love it, and sure enough,
Mhm.
I am.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my thoughts on Alan Wake 2 so far.
Yeah, man. I echo a lot of what you said, man. It's funny you brought up Resident Evil 2 because I definitely see influence of that, but I was playing a little bit earlier today and all I could think about was Silent Hill 2 and just a
Mm,
lot of those similar vibes that it was giving me. And I was playing cuz I was playing in here so that way, I could capture footage if I needed to. But I have like my laundry room next to me, so if that's going, it's like, man, I can't really hear. So I put my headphones on. The
dude,
sound design in this game is insane. Like,
yes. I'm glad you mentioned that.
oh my gosh, everything from the music to the sounds to just it. I
And it's super scary, this game.
yes, I'll tell you this. I refuse to play. I refuse to play this game at night, dude. I can't do it because it creeps me out at
Dude,
points.
I did that the first night. I did like I killed all the lights, and I like
Mm,
those blue lights back there behind that TV. I
mm-hmm,
set that to
mm-hmm,
red, and
mm,
and
okay,
did the whole thing. I was like,
mm,
let's go. And this game has like, it has jump scares, is what it has, and
bro.
it makes no bones about it.
I I hate the jump scares because they get me so good every time that like I accidentally hit the touchpad or like another button and it like messes something up and I'm like, gosh dang it, game stop.
Yeah, it's really, it's not like, I mean, I guess you could say any jump scare is a little cheap, but
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't categorize them as cheap jump scares. It's just,
Yeah.
this is just the world that you're in. Like, this is kind of how it
Yeah.
is,
Dude.
and the way they're presenting it is really cool. And I like that they're trying to like make a survival horror game. Like
Yeah.
that's what this is, and I'm loving it. But sorry, I'm
Yeah,
kind of
man.
interrupting
I just
your
no,
section.
it's good. I mean it's definitely like a dark, creepy kind of game. So it's definitely not a game for everybody, but for us, me and Micah, dude, it hits all the right notes and just the way that they use the environment and certain distortions to kind of add to the creepy factor or maybe certain sounds like it's
Have have you gotten to the mechanic with Alan with his little special flashlight?
oh
Oh,
yeah,
okay. All
dude,
that stuff is really
so
cool.
cool, man. I love it, man. It makes me feel like Dumbledore at the beginning of Harry Potter,
I, I just love the design of that flashlight too. It's
yeah,
just a
it's
cool
cool, dude.
looking thing. Yeah.
And that's something that the more I play this game, I'm just like, dude, Remedy, they're so imaginative. with
they're
this
at
stuff.
their. I'm really appreciating Remedy right now. I kind of mentioned them a little bit last episode because this is. I feel like BioWare making KOTOR and Mass Effect 1 and stuff was like peak Bio, or
Yeah,
arguably peak. I feel like we're in peak Remedy right
yeah,
now, and like
dude.
Sam Lake with the age that he's at and where that
Mhm.
studio's at, and I think we're getting the best of what that studio is going to produce
Yeah,
right now
dude,
in
man.
this era, and so I'm really relishing it. They are, of course, in my opinion, among the very best out there right
Yeah,
now.
dude. And I gotta say, one of my favorite things about the first Alan Wake was coming across the TV with some random show thing on. Control had some of that stuff too, and this game's got it too. And man, I love it.
All
The
the Finnish style, like
yes,
accents of the what was that first one? Was it some lumberjack something or another?
it's
Or
something about like adventure travels or adventure trails or
yeah,
something like that. And it's like, oh no, a bear, and it's just like a cardboard bear going with the camera zooming in.
yeah.
So stupid, but it's so funny,
You
man.
got
I'm
to
just
sit there
like,
and watch
gosh,
it.
dude, it's so good. And then
Mhm.
like I feel like this game is just the greatest hits of Remedy because they pull some stuff from Quantum Break a little bit in this game too with the blending of live action and video game stuff. And I'm just like, gosh, dude,
Yeah.
it's a truly unique and well made game.
It's
I
very much a Remedy game, but you have
Yeah,
the things that it pulls from like the more recent Resident Evil games and just Resident Evil in general is
yeah.
so like the what I'll call typewriter rooms, the ones with the thermoses, the coffee
Mhm.
thermos. Like that's a
Mhm.
typewriter room,
Mhm.
is what that
Yeah.
is. It's a room to like, okay, I can breathe
You
in
can
here. I
breathe.
can say, I
Yeah,
can
that's
save
it.
my game. I can
Yeah.
breathe. There's a little ammo over here, maybe. You
Yep.
know.
Man, dude, it's yeah, I'm thoroughly impressed by this game. It
Hmm.
just and I'm glad because I wasn't super hot on Control. Kind of over time, I came to appreciate the game and kind of what it was doing. Um, but man, this game is just I'm impressed. I'm
Yeah,
thoroughly impressed. Not much else to really say beyond that. It's just I can't wait until I finish it and then we can talk about it. And
yeah,
then it's wild, man.
hundred
It is
percent.
absolutely wild. But that's going to lead into my the other game that I'm going to talk about, which is drastically different than Alan Wake, both tonally and gameplay wise. But I finished Super Mario Wonder recently and put my review on GG. I felt compelled to write a review for it. Gave it 5 out of 5 stars. Just an immaculate game. Just I know people were throwing a fit when the nominees for the Game Awards came out and people were upset that Super Mario Wonder was on there, but y'all, I'm telling you, if you play this game, you'll see why
That
it's
was
nominated.
the number one game I saw people like, why is that on there? Instead of, I'm
Yeah.
like, really?
Yeah.
Super Mario Wonder out of all six, not that, I mean, I guess you can pick out any of them. I was like, why is Resident Evil 4 on there? Anyway,
That's the one
we're
out.
getting to the
Yep.
Game Awards, but anyway,
Yep.
I, yeah, like I haven't played it. I just mentioned I'm gonna play it.
Yeah.
Got it coming in the mail for Christmas and everything,
Mhm.
but it just looks like it's a 10 out of 10. Like you
Yeah.
just watch gameplay and you're like, yeah, this just looks
Yeah.
great.
Yeah, man. And admittedly, again, just to preface this with this, I'm not that big of a Mario fan. I don't hate Mario. It's just and I told a couple friends I just think platformers aren't really my thing. They're not my style of game. But playing this game, it's like opening a can of Pringles, man. You just can't stop. You're like, okay, let me do another level. Let me do another level. It's like, okay, that
Yeah.
was actually really cool. Oh, I missed a Wonder Seed. Well, let me go back and try and get it. I
Let me
think I
go
saw where
get
this
that
thing.
one. Yeah.
Dude, it's literally that just one more effect that Adam, former co-host of the show, would talk about every now and then. It's like just one more, just one more. Okay, well, let me do one more, and the next thing you know, it's 3 a.m. Really good. And the final area, the final. Now, when I say final, I know some people are like, "Wait a minute, is he talking about like the secret levels?" No, I'm talking about like the final level, the lead up
Regular
to the
part.
final
Yeah.
boss. Those were some of my favorite levels because of how difficult they were, but they were so exhilarating. And then the final boss. Some people may think it's easy. I thought it was an absolute blast. I had so much fun playing it, and yeah, it was just a cool game. I don't know if I'm gonna go and collect everything. I know a couple people in our Discord have done that. I might do that over Thanksgiving break, but I also might use that time to read a little bit and get caught up on that. But man, dude, what I said this in the last episode. This is a game that if you have a Nintendo Switch, you need to have this for your system. It is one of those games that's like this helps define the Nintendo Switch to a degree. It's so good. Multiplayer is great. The ways that you can adjust the difficulty is great. I mean, it's just from stem to stern. It's a top shelf, high quality game, and it's really really good. And so,
Man,
yeah,
that's fantastic to hear.
yeah, man. You guys, you and your kids are gonna have a ton of fun with it. Like just insane amounts of fun. It's a
Yeah.
really good game. Really, really good. But with that being said, talking about, games that are really, really good, let's get into one of 2023's biggest, arguably most anticipated games of the year in Spider-Man 2. Now, again, just to preface how we handle these sections, typically, we're going to have a spoiler free section. Okay. There's going to be a timestamp that says spoiler zone. That's your opportunity to duck out. I'll give you plenty of time to get out, to pause the episode, go play the game for yourself, and then come back later if you want to do that. And I'll give you plenty of opportunities because I'll just keep talking pretty much at that point and letting you know we're about to go into spoiler territory. But that time is not now. We're going to get into some spoiler free thoughts on the game, some general thoughts on the game here. And let me save John Hannon's write-in for a little bit after we get into this. But Micah, we talked about this in the last episode a little bit, shared our thoughts, but let's kind of dig in a little bit here, man. Let's give our general thoughts on Spider-Man 2 as a game, story, and all that jazz.
Yeah, I think Spider-Man 2 is PlayStation Productions at their peak. It sits alongside, the Horizon Forbidden West and the God of War Ragnaroks and all the best Sony games that are produced. It sits along those just fine.
Yeah.
Graphically, I would say it's one of the PS5's maybe top 2 or 3 best looking games. Particularly when you look at the city at nighttime or just really anytime, it is remarkably better than the first 2 outings. And again, I just came off of Spider-Man 2018 and Spider-Man Miles Morales from 2020. And this game is a looker. It's a stunner. It has an extremely well-scoped open world where it's like, it's an open world, but you're not going to be losing 80 hours in this thing. You can get the platinum in about 30, maybe 35 hours if you're slow, which is extremely digestible. That is the perfect length for this type of game, in my opinion. If you want to beeline the main story, you can get it done in about 15 hours or so, I would guess. And that's a great length. I talked a lot in the last episode about how good the web slinging is and how it has fantastic movement in a 3D video game, especially. That's something that's really hard to capture in this game. It takes the already fantastic web slinging of the original 2 games and just makes it all the more better with things like the web wings, with things like the kind of the slingshot pullback you can do to launch yourself off. There's so many different things like that, and the combat is improved. It's just a great game. I was about to say it was a Marvel game, and I had to stop myself. But I said it anyway, so here I am. This is one thing I want to get into in a deep way, maybe in a little bit more spoilery context, but it has like the best side quests. God of War Ragnarok, I remember talking about this. It had good side quests too, so maybe this is a thing Sony's getting down pat. But really fantastic payoff with like beefy, big Spider-Man characters, kind of involved in these side quests. The amount of characters that are in this game. Well, I'm going to go down the list of them a little bit later in the spoilery section, but it's incredible how many characters they fit into this game. So
it never feels bloated either. Like, Spider-Man 3, the movie, tried to do that and it felt bad. This does it and it's like, no, this makes sense. This works.
It's just a great roller coaster. It's just a fun ride. It's a blast to be on from beginning to end. From when you launch it to you pop that platinum trophy, it's just like, wow, what a great ride! I'm glad I went on that ride. I'm ready to do the next one. Whatever you have, Insomniac, I'm ready to ride your next ride. So that's what this is, kind of in a nutshell. High level thoughts on this game for me.
Yeah, man. I'm just gonna say that this is probably my favorite superhero game of all time. And that's saying something because I love the Batman Arkham games. And so maybe I need to pump the
Yeah.
brakes a little bit. But this game really impressed me. Y'all know, if you've listened to this podcast for any length of time, Venom is one of my all time favorite superhero comic book characters, period. He's got a really cool arc in the comics where he starts off as bad, becomes an anti-hero, then winds up becoming a good guy. Just really cool stuff, man. And I just love Spider-Man in general. And this game far exceeded my expectations. Granted, I tried to avoid as many trailers and stuff like that as I possibly could. So I went as blind as I possibly could.
Yeah.
And it just blew me away, man. They get so much right with all the different characters, the symbiote, just the side quest. This is just a blast from beginning to end. There wasn't a single side quest that I can remember that I was like, this sucks. I hate this. Why did they put this in here?
Yeah.
I remember distinctly thinking that about the screwball stuff in the first Spider-Man game.
Yeah.
Hated that stuff. This game doesn't really have that. Or if it's got stuff like trial stuff, it's not that bad. It's like you literally get the trophy for just beating it. Not trying to
Mhm.
get all 3 stars or any of that stuff. Just go through, do the side quest, bada bing, bada boom, you get yourself a trophy. Maybe you get yourself a sweet new costume too. We're gonna talk about those a little bit
Yeah.
later. But yeah, dude, I freaking love this game. They got so much right. They hinted at other things within the universe that I'm like, just give me more. The MCU is
Yeah.
kind of fizzling out for me right now. Give me some good stuff, Insomniac. Let me see what you guys can do. Let me see if we can make this fun. Which leads into John Hannon's write-in over on Patreon.com. He says, I haven't started the game yet, but everything I've read said Spider-Man 2 is fantastic. I'm trying to think if there was a Spider-Man comic series that was called The Fantastic Spider-Man, but maybe when he joined the Fantastic Four. Anyway, he writes on and continues, given this continued success and the fact that Insomniac has said their Wolverine game takes place in the same universe, do you think there's potential for an MCU-style shared universe of Marvel games? And if so, do you think Insomniac would continue developing these titles, or would other developers step in as well? I don't want to spoil anything, but I'll just say that some things there's some things you'll see them as you play, especially as you're web slinging around. That it's like, okay, clearly this team exists in this world. These characters exist in this world. Where are they? They've got to show up at some point, man.
Yeah. John, that would be difficult to do in video games because how
Mm-hmm.
long it takes to make these type of games to
Yeah.
make a Spider-Man 2. It takes so long. It would be hard to do something like a Marvel video game universe.
Mm-hmm.
But it does seem like maybe they're gonna try to try their hand at it on a smaller scale and
Yeah.
see kind of what works. There's no way that Insomniac could bear that load by
Definitely not.
themselves.
Yeah.
You would have to have some real coordination amongst teams like was it IDOS Montreal that created Guardians of the Galaxy, for
Mm.
example.
Yeah.
Like
Or
tap
was it
them.
Square? No, keep going.
Square published it, but I think it was
That's right.
IDOS Montreal, which they have maybe since SquareSoft or Square Enix has lopped off and sold that all that stuff. That was maybe with the Tomb Raider stuff. Anyway, you would have to have a bunch of big studios like in on it to do something like that, and kind of
Mm-hmm.
taking turns where you have a game basically every year.
Yeah.
Um,
Mm.
so I don't
Man,
know
that
if
begs the
they're
question: do we even want something like that?
right. I don't
Oh,
want Insomniac's time taken up by completely by
yeah.
Marvel. Personally, I
Yeah.
would love for them to go back to Resistance or create something new.
Mm-hmm.
Or just keep going back to Ratchet and Clank from time to time, or if they
Yeah.
kept making Spider-Man games and Wolverine games and then whatever else games for Marvel, I'd be like, ugh. I mean, great studio, but maybe a bit of a waste of
Yeah.
talent,
Yeah.
as far as pigeonholing them into nothing but
Mm-hmm.
Marvel.
Yeah.
It's a fun prospect, John, to talk about a video game universe, Marvel video game universe. Uh, I don't know how it works in games with these
Yeah.
5, sometimes 6 year dev cycles.
Mhm. Yeah. Man, this is a side note. Yeah, you had it right on the money, man. It was Eidos Montreal that did Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
I think I'm probably going to replay that game this year and platinum it. That game was so good. I
Uh,
can't.
Quick aside, did you see my tweet yesterday? I think like that new Avatar
Uh-uh.
game, like James Cameron Avatar,
Yeah,
that game looks sneaky good. And I was like, is this going to
don't
be this year's Guardians of the Galaxy? Like, is this game
don't
going to
say
be excellent? Like low key?
don't don't do it, man. Don't need I don't need another game to play. And if that game comes out and
Well,
is
it looks
crazy
really
good,
good though. Like, check out a trailer, dude, for real.
I'll go do it.
Not
I'll
right
go check
now.
it out.
Not right
Not right
now.
now, but I'll go check it out. Yeah, I think if they were to create some kind of universe within games, man, this is definitely something where you would need other studios to step in and handle it and kind of do some different gameplay styles, because we don't want every game to be like Spider-Man. I mean, if you did, like, let's just say X-Men, for example, because you got Wolverine, we're pulling him in. You'd almost want that to be almost like an RPG of sorts, or maybe a,
Hmm.
well, John, yeah, we just played this. Marvel Midnight Sun, something like that, or a little more strategy based. You know, you get the different X-Men that have their different builds and things
Yeah.
like that. But yeah, you would definitely need other studios to step in with that. I don't know if that's in Marvel's plans, but I mean, if they go about it, I would be very curious to see what that would look like. I just hope they do it right, because, like you said, Micah, I don't want Insomniac to be stuck doing Marvel games for the rest of
Yeah.
their time as
I
a
mean,
studio.
on one hand, it would be cool because you'd
Yeah,
probably get some
yeah,
superhero games that we've just for characters we've never gotten before.
yeah,
But on the other hand, it would be a waste of Insomniac to kind
yeah,
of make them do that.
yeah. 100%, 100%. Well, it's about that time for us to get into the spoiler zone. So this is the point where I'm going to ramble a little bit so I can get a timestamp written down in my notes app and give you enough time to hit pause on your podcast app or wherever it is that you're listening to this. Because if you don't want any bit of this game spoiled, I mean literally any bit, we're gonna spoil literally everything about this game. We both got the platinum trophy. We've seen everything there is to see in this game, and so we are going to dive deep into spoilers in this game. So if you don't want anything spoiled, including the end of the side quests, what suits you get, those sorts of things, this is your opportunity to duck out, because we're gonna cover all that. Okay, so giving you enough time. We're in the spoiler zone as of now. We've been in it because the timestamp's going to be well before this, but we're in the spoiler zone. So Micah, there's a lot of ways, a lot of areas that we can cover with this, but I think what would be really fun to start with is the characters themselves.
Yes.
We have the returning cast of Peter Parker, Mary Jane, Miles Morales. Um, why am I forgetting
Ganky.
Genki? But no, I'm forgetting
Oh,
Miles's girlfriend this time, man.
Haley.
Haley, thank you. Gosh, dude, she's like one of my favorite characters in the game. And then Miles's mom. Like, so we've got a lot of returning characters, and one returning character that I was honestly surprised to see. Again, I didn't really watch any of the trailer, so I didn't know this character was in the game. But Mr. Negative
Yeah.
comes
Martin
back
Lee.
and plays a pretty big role in the
Huge.
story.
Huge.
I I was bamboozled, man. First of all, did you expect him to make a return and have this? Well, first question: did you expect him to return, and then did you expect him to have this big of an impact role in the story?
Yes and no. Yes, because I saw the trailer and
Okay.
he was in it very briefly,
Okay.
and Miles says like Lee in the trailer or something like that. And it's like,
Hmm.
oh, what? But like, what before that? No, I had that was not
Man.
even on the radar. So that was if I hadn't seen the trailer, that would have been extra cool.
Yeah.
Um, it really is that kind of thing where like I'm too excited to not watch like one trailer for the game, but I mean, it
Hmm.
would be anyways. It'd be served. You'd be served if you didn't.
Yeah.
Um, yeah. So that was no, I didn't see it coming. And then just the role he plays in just his whole redemption arc. He is, there's a couple of villains in the game that have redemption arcs, or
Yeah.
like have already been on, or like in the middle of a redemption arc, or were already kind of reformed and all this kind of stuff, like
Hmm.
Tombstone and
Yeah.
Mysterio.
Yeah.
And Lee is the main one that goes through this whole, and like there's a couple of instances where like you go into Miles's mind and you go into Peter's mind, and then that's like the Kickstarter to get the anti venom and all this stuff. We're getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, he plays an absolutely huge role,
Yep.
and I love it.
Yeah.
I love this. I love a good redemption arc, and you that's something that the game focused on is like Peter has rarely had like his biggest enemies. They will just get out and they're back to their old stuff. That he's never
Hmm.
actually reformed anyone,
Hmm.
at least not in this universe up to this point in this version
Right.
of Spider-Man. And for Miles, he learns to do that almost, or he's fortunate enough for things to go his way to where he's able to do that with his very first main enemy
Yeah.
in Martin Lee.
Yeah.
And that kind of sets up some other things as far as kind of passing the mantle and stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, huge. I loved it. I love Martin Lee. I'll put it this way. I said I love Martin Lee. I don't necessarily love the Mr. Negative character. When he was the villain in the first Spider-Man game, I was like, yeah, whatever. But what they're doing with Martin Lee and everything with this game
Yeah.
is great.
Yeah.
Really, really good stuff. So I like that whole story arc
Yeah,
with
man.
Lee.
I gotta be honest. This game punched me in the face several times,
Oh yeah.
and the whole arc with Martin Lee and Miles really got to me at the end. Because I mean, there's that whole. I think we all can relate to it to a degree where, maybe not some superhuman, killed our dad, but we have those instances in life, maybe people in life that have just really wronged us, and we have a hard time getting past it because what they did was just so stinking bad.
Yeah.
And man, I really felt for Miles during this, and you get to the end of that arc, and he says something to Miles says to Martin, like I can't forgive you, but I can't hold this pain any longer. And I'm like, dude, right there, I feel that, I felt that, dude.
Mhm.
And it was cool because where I'm like, man, you really should be forgiving, and not holding that on. But at the same time, I'm like, nah, that's kind of a very real human response. It's like, dude, I can't forgive you for what you did, but like I can't hold on to this any longer. This is weighing me down. It's holding me back, and I can't do it. And even his mom says something to him
Mhm.
earlier in the game about
And
letting
Lee's wanting
go.
to move on, you
Yeah.
know?
So I mean, it's cool. I like that theme of, I don't know if you want to call it redemption or reforming or something, but just seeing characters that did some really bad things, but they're trying their freaking best to make up for it and do better. And man, it was cool to see some of those characters do that, like Tombstone, like Mysterio, especially with Martin Lee. Man, it's really cool. I thought those were really well done in this game. I know some of the complaints surrounding this game was like the writing and stuff like that, but I thought those particular aspects were handled pretty well. And I mean,
Mhm.
they hit me pretty good. They hit me pretty good.
Yeah, and to speak on the writing topic, because I know that's something I brought up last episode. I
Hmm.
don't have a problem with like all the scenarios and like the overall plot and kind of all the overall like stories for the side quest stuff. All those stuff was good. I had a problem with some of the like the script, like
Yeah,
the actual like dialogue writing and stuff. Some of that was like, oh, this is a little worse maybe than the
it
last game.
it felt way more MCU ish this time
Hmm.
around, where certain moments they wouldn't let him breathe for a certain amount of time. They'd have to like throw a quip in or a joke or something, and
Yeah,
that was one of my biggest issues with the Thor Ragnarok movie. I'm like, you guys, you're not letting any moment just have their time to shine. You're ruining it with a joke or something
yeah.
like that. And this game kind of did that a couple times. I'm like, oh man, like, can we can we wait to throw the joke in there or quip a little bit, or maybe not have it in there at all? Just give that moment some time to shine, some
Yeah,
time to breathe. And I can definitely see that critique because it's not a lot, but it's definitely noticeable when it does come up, and it's like,
and it's not
man,
egregiously bad. It's
yeah,
not
yeah, yeah,
forspoken or anything like that.
yeah,
It was again coming off of the old games I just played them. It was just noticeable, kind of having that back to back taste
yeah.
test, if you will. Um,
Sorry, I gotta be like,
what?
I gotta be like, did I just throw that car with my symbiote tentacles? Whoa.
Well, speaking of symbiotes, Logan, you can't really talk about characters without talking about Harry, right?
Hmm. Man,
That's the backbone of the whole story.
yeah.
So what did you think of this rendition of Harry?
I was talking with one of my friends. We're big Spider-Man fans. We've seen the movies. We've talked about them a lot. we both agree this is probably the best rendition of Harry Osborn we have gotten in entertainment. I'm not including the comic books in there because you can't really compare it with those. But outside of those, man, this is probably the best version of Harry Osborn we've gotten. You feel for him, you understand his motivations, and man, it was tough when you have the symbiote and he doesn't,
Yeah,
and
man.
you hear him getting weaker and weaker, and it's like, dude, we gotta, what are we doing? We're killing our friend here. And man, it's tough, man. But I
Th-
thought he was really well done. I don't know who voice acted him, but they did a really insanely good
yeah,
job
I
with him.
feel like Insomniac was really they held back on like slowly bleeding into him becoming a villain.
Yeah,
They really like he's a good friend
yeah,
through this game for a long time.
yeah,
And like you said, I love that part you brought when the black symbiote suit is on Peter and he can't get it off, and Harry's over there like dying. He's on the
yeah,
cane struggling, like his arms shaking, trying to hold the cane and stuff. And it's
hmm,
like, bro's not well.
yeah,
And he's like, Peter, I just need the suit back. I just I need to live
yeah,
here, like
yeah,
it's a really well written character, and I like this rendition of it. And I want to go ahead and dabble into this topic a little bit,
okay,
because it's like you can't talk about Harry without talking about the Green Goblin, because that's
mm,
who he
hmm,
traditionally becomes.
hmm,
And then, it's no secret really. What Insomniac was setting up was that Harry was going to be Venom. That was the
hmm,
tease at the end of the first game and all this
yeah.
stuff. So, did you like that? Did you like how it went down? What did you think of just Harry's Venom?
Yeah, I was wondering, like, because again, I was wondering, like, the whole time, like, okay, when does Eddie Brock come in? Because Eddie Brock is Venom. Where's he at? And he never shows up.
Yeah,
He's not in the game at all. Except I think maybe, and I might have mentioned this somewhere else, but I think Mary Jane might have like referenced him in an offhand remark about like the new guy at the Bugle.
right.
I don't know if it was him or not, but I'm guessing that's who it was, and he might show up in the next game.
Hmm.
But I thought Harry being Venom made a lot of sense. He had a certain weakness for the symbiote to exploit in him, and so there's a reason there. There's that tension there, and it made a lot of sense. And I rolled with it. I was kind of at a point where I'm like, all right, Insomniac, you wrote this. You wrote this. You built this ride. Let's take me on a ride. Let's see where you go.
Yeah.
I thought it worked really well. I was curious, like, how's Venom going to get beefy? Because Eddie Brock was kind of beefy. He was a musclehead. How's Venom going to get big? But he
He just
took
gets
over to
big.
Harry and he just gets big. I'm like, all right, here we are. Let's go.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
no, man, I thought it was well done. It was really, really cool.
Um, I think one of my other favorite characters from the game is going to kind of popcorn around on a couple of different characters was Yuri slash Wraith.
Yeah.
Um, if you played the DLC, one of the DLC chapters in particular for the first Spider-Man game, you get Yuri's arc and
Hmm,
why and how she leaves the police force.
hmm,
It's a pretty good episode. I would recommend playing it if you haven't done that. It speaks as to why she kind of goes off the reservation and goes rogue and becomes this character, Wraith.
hmm,
And yeah, the way her kind of no nonsense, like I don't mind killing people, that whole style is like, yeah, I can get down with this
yeah,
sometimes,
yeah,
and really it was mostly paid off. Her character was mostly paid off because her whole storyline was tied very closely to the Flame side quest,
hmm,
and we already talked about that a little bit in the spoilery section last episode. But I mentioned it, so let's go ahead and camp there, I guess. The Flame is this it's called the Cult of the Flame, and
hmm,
the Crimson Hour is coming. Oh, the Crimson Hour, but you guys are going to be jacked up when it comes around. You guys just wait. We're a bad cult, and Yuri wants to shut it down, and so the leader is called the Flame, and she like this whole time we think it's like this inferno related cult, and they're always, but they had the real reason that they existed. They were trying to derail this train, this
hmm,
Oscorp train that had this other symbiote sample,
yep,
and they got it,
hmm,
and it's stinking. The Flame is stinking Cletus Cassidy, and
hmm,
so
yep,
they're a clear precursor to Carnage
yep.
upcoming. So, man, what do you think of Yuri, Wraith, Carnage, the Flame, all that stuff?
when I was doing that side quest, I was like, man, this is cool. Fighting a cult's kind of weird, but whatever. I'll finish this out and see how it goes. Wraith's kind of cool. Let's see how it ends. And when I first saw the main character was like, hold up, is this Cletus Cassidy? He kind of looks like him a little bit, but I don't remember Cletus Cassidy being part of a cult and having scars. But all right, whatever, I'll roll with it. But when he picks up the symbiote tank thing or canister or whatever it is, and he gives that little monologue and it turns red, I'm like, oh crap. Like, this is
Yeah.
Cletus. This is Carnage. They're gonna be in the next game.
Yeah.
What the heck? And that showed me, I'm like, dude, are all the side quests gonna be like this? Where we get to the end and there's gonna be a cool reveal with a villain or something else. And
Yeah.
man, they made the side quests very much worth doing in this
They
game.
kind of are, a lot of them. There's a lot of, just kind of heartfelt ones and just kind of, friendly
Mhm.
neighborhood Spider-Man-y kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Um, dude, let me talk about this one. There's this one. What's it called? I think I wrote it down. Unidentified targets, to where you start getting a list of people that Craven is
Yeah.
supposedly hunting, and then you start kind of getting into to rescue them. You're like, oh wait, they're already dead, and then that keeps
Yeah.
happening. It's all these people that are already dead, and you're like, what is happening? And then, long story short, it's stinking Dimitri, what's his name, who's Craven's brother. It's the
Mhm.
Chameleon.
Yeah, dude.
And
That was so
so
dope.
that's a great villain, in my opinion. So he's like watching Spider-Man. He's like this regular dude, and then like his face
Mhm.
flashes, and it's like the Chameleon, and it's like,
Yeah.
what? So that
Dude.
was super cool. You had the Mysterio stuff. Any other side quest stuff that kind of stood out to you with like these great villain kind of payoffs
Yeah,
and stuff?
dude, the chameleon one was really cool. I really loved that one. Just because I feel like I remember growing up and watching the animated series, and Chameleon played a pretty big role for a while there. I think especially when
Yeah,
Kingpin came on the scene.
yeah,
And I just feel like he never really gets his due in a lot of other Spider-Man forms of entertainment outside of the comic books. And so it was cool to see him in the game, and I'm like, man, please let him come back in the next game. I felt like you could have a lot of fun with him in
hmm,
those games, and that was cool. I really liked Mysterio. Not
yeah,
necessarily the arena stuff, that I found that to be a little just kind of redundant and annoying at times when you had to like only defeat enemies with super moves or something like that.
yeah. It's just a bunch of combat challenges.
Yeah, but man, the whole Mysterio arc was really cool, especially how at the end when Miles is talking to him, or at least I had Miles talking to him. I think you have to do him with Miles.
Yeah,
And he was talking to Mysterio after he pulls him out of the thing, because Mysterio was like basically knocked out the entire time, and his two secretary people or whatever were taking advantage of him and his technology. And he was asking him, is Mysterio going to turn over a new leaf? And he's like, no, Mysterio will always be a bad guy. Just because like that's just what people know Mysterio as. He's like, but people like you, Spider-Man, you'll always be good. And so like again, it goes back to the villains being reformed thing that was just
yeah.
really cool, and that kind of like pain or stigma that they struggle with. But dude, the suit you get at the end of that one, where you have the little fishbowl thing with the smoke inside of it. Ah,
Yeah.
I'm jumping the gun a little bit talking about my favorite suits, but that was a sick suit, dude. I loved that suit.
Yeah, yeah,
But
absolutely. My
man,
last favorite side quest that I'll talk about. The side quest itself wasn't great. The ending, the payoff is collecting all the spider bots.
it's good. Yep,
That
bro.
was the one that was like, okay, this is the Korok seed of this game.
Yeah,
This is the backpack, Peter Parker
yeah,
backpack of this game. It's like,
yeah.
okay, we got, about 40 of these bad boys. Let's go hunt them all down, and long story short, you get to the end of it, and there's this like little portal opened up,
Hmm.
and this character through the portal you're talking to is like, oh, thank you for getting all these spider bots. If you talk to Miguel, let him know, meaning Miguel O'Hara,
Yeah,
Spider-Man
Spider-Man
2099,
2099.
and it was all in into the Spider-Verse art
Hmm.
style, except
Hmm.
for the character you were talking to, who was in this like PS2 polygonal,
Yeah.
like, I don't know what that was exactly, but anyway, it was a clear reference to Into the Spider-Verse and Across the
Mm-hmm.
Spider-Verse and all that stuff. So that was a cool Easter egg slash kind of just conclusion to a side quest.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it really caught me off guard because I
Yeah,
was thinking like, you're gonna get nothing out of this. You might get a suit or something. I'm like, it's cool to see how they like adapted some of the different Spider-Man characters into the little spider bot thing. I'm like, oh, that's kind of cool how they did that. That looks cool. And I thought it was gonna be like the backpacks all over again. Like you get it and that's it.
yeah.
But no, that opened up, and when they mentioned Miguel, I'm like, oh my gosh, dude, Spider-Man 3 is gonna be off the chain. What are they gonna do with this game, man?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's wild. I even loved. They were talking about side quests. I even loved doing the Prowler stash sort of thing, getting
Dash,
all
yeah.
those. I
Mhm.
didn't really care for getting the stash stuff, but I was like, whatever, I'll do it anyway. But just the ending of it, where you see uh, Miles' uncle is moving into the same apartment building that they're living in, and he was like, and he thought his uncle was like going to rob from him or steal something. But you find out that like, no, he was just trying to scope out a place, and his mom co-signed his apartment thing, and so now they're living in the same building. I'm like, dude, it's all about family. I love
Yeah,
it.
yeah. Another one I keep remembering ones that I loved. The Howard, the pigeon guy, that side quest
Oh my
from the first
gosh.
game. You come across Howard, and of course, if you know, he was in both the games, I think, a little bit. If you've played the
Hmm.
games, you know who Howard is. He's the pigeon guy, and you come across him, and he's talking about all this metaphorical stuff, and he wants to do this and settle up, and basically he wants you to find a home for his pigeons because he's at the end of his life, and
Hmm.
he stinking dies at the end of the mission,
Yeah.
dude. It's like, I wasn't ready for this,
I was
Howard.
like, I got to that, and I was like, I kind of had like an idea that he was gonna die. I was like, nah, maybe it's just a cool little fun little thing, because I genuinely had fun flying around New York and leading the pigeons to where they were. But man, when I got there and saw him getting put in the ambulance, I was like, what the heck, Insomniac? Like,
Yeah,
quit doing this to me while I'm playing this game.
but
Uh,
yeah, so many great side quests, so many
oh,
great characters. Do you have another one you want to bring up?
yeah, dude, I just remember one where you're doing the side quest and you're looking for this girl's dad, and you wind up in a park, and he's sitting on a bench, and he just talks about how him and his
Oh,
wife would go there and just all the fun they'd have. I lost it during that whole thing. I was crying. I was a mess, but I loved it because I'm like, this is Spider-Man.
it was so good.
We see Spider-Man fighting like Rhino, Green Goblin, all that stuff. But one of the cool things about Spider-Man being a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man is he's there for just random people. And
Hmm.
man, that side quest there really cements Spider-Man as a character, but I think it also helps with Miles becoming Spider-Man, really filling in those shoes a little bit, or filling in that suit, man. And it's just so good. So good. The
Yeah.
side quests in this game were like so good.
Well, I'm gonna just kind of run down real quick, and maybe me
Mhm,
mentioning a couple of these
mhm,
guys will
mhm, mhm,
make you remember something. Just kind of all the characters that are in this game. And I'm going to mention some of the obvious ones we already said, but Peter, Miles, Mary Jane, Genki, Haley, Harry,
mhm,
Norman, Craven, Martin Lee, Yuri slash Wraith, Cletus Cassidy, Black Cat, the Sandman, Kurt Connors slash the Lizard, Mysterio, Scream, Otto Octavius,
mhm,
Tombstone,
mm. Dude,
and that's just to name a few.
Scream showing up when
Yeah,
Venom,
dude.
like, just has a symbiote take over Mary Jane blew my
Yeah.
freaking mind, because 'cause I'm like, "Oh, dude, he's gonna start making
And I
symbiote
I
kids."
loved how every time you fought, like, you had to fight her, and, like, you
Mhm.
start hearing Mary Jane's side of the argument, like, "You're the one always taking like, I always have to get
Yeah,
back seat." And, like,
yeah,
when Peter's fighting Miles, spoiler, like,
yeah.
in the symbiote suit, like, you get all these, like, "I don't need you," like, you're all,
"You're
you
holding me
you you
back,"
get you
Yeah.
get, like, the feelings from these people in these boss battles oftentimes.
Mhm.
They keep doing, and it's like, wow, it's a really, really weighty and, really well done how they do that. They have a lot of banter throughout the boss battles.
Yeah. It's
Um,
really cool.
So yeah,
Man, there's
yeah,
there's two characters specifically out of that I definitely want to talk about. I want to talk about that lizard boss fight because that was freaking sick. I
dude.
loved that boss fight.
There's a there's so many boss fights. I can't even keep track of them all,
Yeah,
and
dude.
they're all really great.
The one at the beginning was Sandman. I didn't even know Sandman was going to be in this game, but it
Yeah,
opens with you fighting Sandman and like his little sand things and just swinging around in a sand typhoon sort of thing. Or I guess sand tornado typhoon is water related. But like, I'm just like this game is so stinking cool. What a way to
they
open
could
it
have
up.
whenever they first showed Spider-Man at whatever the Sony event was, and it's that like they're chasing the lizard down and all that stuff on
Mhm.
the water. That whole
Yeah,
scene, they could have opened and showed this Sandman section. That would have been just as good.
yeah,
And like, yep,
yeah,
I'm buying that game.
yep,
That was a E3 moment kind
yeah.
of uh opening. Like
Like, dude,
it was like, wow, like yep, you're on the roller coaster now. Here we
yep,
go. Have
dude.
fun.
It was
See
so
ya.
good, man. It was so good. I couldn't get over it, man. I loved it. The other character I want to talk about, and this one has been a little bit controversial, both in the last game and this current game, but for I think for two different reasons. Mary Jane in this game, who we come to find out took some time to be trained by Sable, one of the characters from the DLC of the
Yeah.
first game. So she's not just sneaking around and avoiding thing. No, she's got a stun gun. She's ready to, a little pop, pop, pop,
Yeah.
do some work. Man, I gotta say, um, hats off to Insomniac for making Mary Jane's brief missions actually fun this time around. I had a blast sneaking around, tasing, Craven's goons, running through that symbiote part at the end. He's going a little pop, 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 a little Gears of War style going on there,
Yeah.
man. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I was like, dang, well done.
They were all a lot of fun. They were all just long enough. We're like,
Yeah.
all right, I'm about ready to not be doing this anymore, and
Yeah.
it was over.
Yeah.
All that stuff was so much better. I think we talked a little bit about it last episode. Like they still have some of the sciencey things you have to do that you can totally skip if you don't
Yep.
want to do them and things
Yep.
like that. I think we mentioned like the bicycle sections that you didn't really care for.
Dude, I
Like
can't
there's
ride a
some
bike
things that,
apparently.
like they mix it up,
Yeah.
and yeah, but it's all like by and large compared to the way that the first game mixed it up, quote unquote, is way better.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
yeah, all that stuff is improved upon.
But man,
Um,
I gotta ask about this before we move on to anything else because I've seen this debated
sure.
online by nerds just all over the place. And honestly, man, I'm a little conflicted because when I booted the game up and was playing it, and the characters got out of their suits and they were just normal human beings, I was looking at their faces and like I don't. Okay, wow. Miles is the only one that looks good to me. Not saying I'm gonna like date him or anything. I'm just saying like Miles was the only one in the first several hours of the game where I'm like, Miles seems like the only character with his face that looks good. Peter looks a little off to a degree. Maybe that's because it's the new face. I'm trying to get adjusted to it. Um, Harry was a little weird at times, especially when he first showed up. Mary Jane, I feel like they really not Mass Effect Andromeda levels of bad, but they messed it up, and I couldn't pin my finger on like
It's
maybe if it was her eyes or
it's the
nose.
eyes.
Is it the eyes?
It's the eyes because I noticed it too, and she's the only character where I thought that about.
Okay.
And I would actually, I guess maybe I'm more used to Peter's new face. I, I don't know if I'm in the minority. I think it's a vast improvement over the original Peter Parker
Okay.
face, but I digress.
Okay.
Um, her Mary Jane's eyes were like glassy
Yeah.
and or something, and like the eyes on Miles and Peter and all the other characters were not like this.
Mhm.
I don't know what it was, and she also doesn't really look like the character from the 2018 Spider-Man, Mary Jane.
Yeah.
Like they look a little different,
Yeah.
and that was a little weird. But I'm with you. I agree.
Okay.
On
Okay.
at least on Mary Jane.
Yeah.
There's a scene in particular with Miles and Peter with their mask off, and I'm like, dang, that looks super good, like Naughty
Yeah.
Dog good.
Yeah.
And I thought everything looked fine. But yeah, Mary Jane, 100% of the time, never got used to it. I was like,
Okay.
you're not right. I don't
Yeah.
know what it is with the eyes, but it's
I
not right.
I even I looked up who the person they used to be the face model for the character, and I held that picture to the side and held a picture like a screenshot that I took of Mary Jane side to side. I was like, what in the world? And I showed it to my wife, like, am I crazy here? And she's like, no, the real person's gorgeous. The Mary Jane in the game is not. Like, what? She's like, what happened? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah, that there is something going on there. I
It's weird.
agree. Um,
Like,
but
not that
yeah,
it's gonna like ruin the game entirely. It's just something I was sitting there like,
yeah, very minor gripe, very
you know,
minor.
is what it is.
Yeah.
So, I
Hmm.
mean, at least Mary Jane can kick the crap out of people this time around. I'm
There you
cool
go.
with that. Maybe that was a part of the training with Sable. She got, I just not thought of this. Maybe she took a couple punches to the face from Sable, when they're fighting or whatever. And I don't
That's
know.
exactly what it is.
That's what it is. That's what it is.
She had to get glass eyes put in.
Yeah. So what does that say about Black Cat then? Because Black Cat is drop dead gorgeous. She must not get into fights.
I guess
I don't
not.
know. I
And
guess
like
not.
her face and eyes looked fine,
They look the
but
same as the
anyway,
OG. Yeah, but
yeah.
I wish we would have got more Black Cat in this game. I will say that.
Well,
But
we had a whole DLC thing kind of surrounding her,
yeah,
so
that's
she kind of had
true.
her time in the sun. So I
That's
get it
true.
to a degree,
Okay,
but yeah, I do like the character. Um, yeah, but again, it's already stuffed so full, so you couldn't fit
that's true.
too much screen time
That's
for
true.
everyone.
That's true. That's a good point. But with one of the characters we can talk about, because I mean, this is going to lead into some of the themes that we're going to talk about here.
Sure.
Norman Osborn. First of
Yeah.
all, again, I don't know why I was surprised when he showed up. I was like, oh, yeah, he's in this game. I was like, well, yeah, duh, dude. Harry's in the game. So, of course, Norman's going to be in the game.
Oh yeah.
Um, but I found his character really fascinating because you see he genuinely cares for his son.
Oh yeah.
And he's trying to do everything he can to save his son, which I totally understand. But it kind of gets to a part where you realize he's almost obsessed with. I want to be careful how I word this because I get that, like, as a father, you're going to do everything you can to save your kids. But I think with Norman Osborn's mentality and money and stuff like that, some of the ways he was going about it might be a little unethical. Where it's like, okay, dude, you literally took this alien symbiote and you gave it to your son.
Yeah.
And is that really such a good idea? As he learns, it's not. And at the end of the game, like, you see that just kind of take him over, where he loses it because
We
his son's in a
all
coma.
we all do weird bad things when we're desperate.
Yeah,
It's just that Norman is super rich and powerful.
yeah,
So his desperation takes the form of like, well, I can do whatever with my money and power, so I'm going to get the best scientists in the world
mm-hmm,
to research this alien symbiote and do all of this fringe stuff.
mm-hmm,
Get my staff killed,
yeah.
get, Doc Connor's arm taken off.
Dude,
And it doesn't matter because the only thing that matters is what I want, my
yeah,
selfish reasons, and obviously that's the health of his son.
yeah,
And
but
so it's just extrapolated for like we all look bad when we're desperate and we're
mhm,
making wrong decisions. It's just that Norman has a ton of money and a ton of power, so his desperation is like magnified, and it's
yeah,
like, yeah, you're going to cause some major problems with this line of thinking.
yeah, man. And that kind of makes me, or not really makes me wonder, but it definitely paves the way to, I think, what his character is going to be and where he's going to go in the
Oh
next
yeah,
game. Because when Harry is ultimately I mean, dude, it really seemed like Harry was going to die at the end of the game.
right.
And I was like, man, Spider-Man's going to have to kill someone. It's going to be his best friend. That's going to suck. They managed to save him, but Harry's in like a coma sort of thing.
Yeah.
Doesn't have a whole lot of brain activity, and Norman just loses it. And he calls up someone and says, "Prepare the G serum." And I'm like, "Oh crap! Here's Green
Hmm.
Goblin." So it makes me wonder, like, is Harry going to be Green Goblin? Is Norman going to be Green Goblin? Someone was floating around the idea in Discord that because of the red symbiote showing up at the end of the Flame side quest and Norman talking about the G serum, that maybe Norman will eventually become the Red Goblin in the game, which I didn't even know who that was because I haven't really kept up with the comics. But apparently, the Red Goblin is Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin merging with the Red symbiote, and the only way Spider-Man could defeat him was to embrace the black symbiote again to overpower him and defeat him. And I'm like, dude, what are we gonna do? Because I mean, Peter Parker essentially retired, so to speak, at the end of this game, handing the
Yeah.
mantle to Miles. Is that gonna rip him out of retirement? And maybe, I mean, getting a little bit ahead of myself here, but do you think they're gonna kill off Peter Parker in the next game?
No, I don't think they're going to kill off Peter Parker.
Okay.
There's going to be real quick before I go down that rabbit trail. I hope
Yeah.
going back to when Norman was talking on is like prepared the G serum. I hope he was talking to Resident Evil's William Birkin, and it's the G virus. He's like, prepare the G virus. We're about to go zombie up in here.
That would actually be kind of cool. Oh man, that
Anyway,
makes me think of the Marvel Zombies comic line now, which is
I
hilarious.
can't hear G serum without thinking of the G virus, which
Yeah,
has been like a long time joke with me and some friends.
fair
But
enough.
anyway, um, no, that whole Red Goblin hypothesis is that could be dead on. I have no idea about
Yeah,
any of that, but
yeah.
that sounds like that could totally happen. As far as kind of future stuff, well, actually, did you want to read maybe Aaron's write-in to tie this
Oh my
in
gosh,
a
yeah,
little
why
bit?
not? This is so perfect. Aaron Aaron L. White writes in and says, you'll have to probably do a spoiler section to answer this, which we are currently in. But what do you want to see for DLC that continues the story?
And so tying that
Yeah.
in to what you just said about like what do I think is happening with Peter and like passing the mantle to Miles, I think
Mm-hmm.
what we're probably going to get is a Spider-Man Miles Morales 2
Okay.
game where Peter's on the sideline, he's retired, and Miles takes center stage to fight a new foe,
Mm-hmm.
and then Spider-Man Peter will come out of retirement in Spider-Man 3, the last Spider-Man game that Insomniac makes for
Yeah.
this era.
Okay.
That's what I think is going to happen. Now, to go more acutely on Aaron's question about like DLC and stuff, I have a couple of things written down. Personally, I want more Wraith. I want more Yuri.
Okay.
So if we had like the last game had 3 DLC episodes, if we had say one
Mm-hmm.
DLC episode dedicated to Yuri continuing to track Cletus Cassidy and building up more of the Carnage stuff that will happen in another game,
Mm-hmm.
that would be cool, in my opinion. I
Mm-hmm.
would love to have a straight up the Chameleon DLC and just follow up on whatever the
Yeah.
story thread was and go ahead and dive into the Chameleon, let him have his own DLC. And then
Mm-hmm.
the last one I have is I have a couple of things here. Go ahead and do an Into the Spider-Verse DLC.
Yeah, dude.
Just go ahead and go
do it.
go grab Miguel and Peter B. Parker and all that stuff and Spider Gwen and have some Into the Spider-Verse DLC. That would be a cool episode.
Yeah.
Now, as far as like main lore stuff like Green Goblin, the post-credit scene where Green Goblin's talking to Otto Octavius in the jail cell is like, hey,
Oh
I heard
gosh.
you know who Spider-Man is, so
Mhm.
the both of them, you want to tell me? And he's like, oh, it's great that you're feeling some pain, Norman. I love this.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Everyone needs to experience loss, even you, Norman.
yeah. And he's like,
Oh,
Norman's
bro.
like, what are you writing there? And he's like, the final chapter. And that is that could reference a couple of things. If you didn't know, I found this through I did know it, forgot it, and then rediscovered it through an IGN video talking about this. But the final chapter is the name of the Spider-Man comic of Amazing Spider-Man, where Peter is like pressed down by all that rubble and water, and he has to like get the strength to
Mm.
go back up. That is called the
Yeah.
final chapter.
It's one of my
And
favorite comic panels, actually.
right, it's iconic. And
Yeah.
then there's also a Green Goblin related thing called the final chapter, which it could be talking about as well. So either one of those would be interesting if they went
Wow.
with. So it's gonna be. I guess like Spider-Man 3 is gonna be the Green Goblin. Norman is gonna be
Yeah.
the bad guy, and
Yeah.
Carnage might be a sub bad guy, or maybe Carnage will be Miles Morales 2 or something. I don't.
Oh gosh,
I
that'd be
don't know.
wild. That would be wild.
I don't know. What are your thoughts on where the future is going with some of
So,
these
dude,
guys?
I haven't been able to get this thought out of my head ever since I've seen this stuff on Twitter and just thinking through it and just knowing this character's history with Spider-Man in the comics and just the amount of times that they've teamed up. When it was kind of not really leaked, but when someone came across a Foggy and Murdoch lawyer building thing,
Oh,
them being
right.
evicted, I was like, bro, give me a Spider-Man and Daredevil team up episode as DLC, please. I don't even care if it's just one episode, but if you want to do like a whole 3 episode shot thing, DLC thing, where Daredevil's in it and then maybe Wolverine slips in at one point, bro, just give it to me. Just give it to me.
Man,
They've
I
teamed up
forgot.
so many times in the comics, it makes so much sense to me, and I can't get it out of my head. That's what I want. 2 of my favorite Marvel characters teaming up right there, man.
I wonder if you could somehow weasel the Punisher into that. Like if you did, let's say, they did the 3 DLC episodes, and they're all
Bro.
dedicated to Daredevil,
Yeah,
for example. Like
bro.
he's in all, and then like one of them features the Punisher. I don't know.
Mm,
There's
bro.
so many ideas. Obviously,
Bro.
we've tossed out so many that are already like great ideas, in my opinion.
Yeah.
They have just a bevy of things to choose from,
Yeah.
whether it's DLC, Miles 2, or Spider-Man 3. Like, there's so many ways they could go. And then you toss in the added fun of knowing that Wolverine's in the same universe.
Mhm.
Like, okay, well, are we going to get something like Professor X? Is he going to show up? Or, what? He could be anything.
Just give me a glimpse of the X-Men. Do it, Insomniac. Come on.
Yeah.
Show me just a scene where Wolverine's beating up Sabretooth's about to get him. And out of the shadows, you see this flicker of red. And then you see a optic blast shoot out. Just let me see Cyclops. Let me see these characters, man.
You know
Come
what's going to
on.
be awesome about Wolverine and Insomniac? They love all their costumes. We're getting that
Mhm.
Weapon X costume.
Mm.
You know?
Dude, we're gonna get them all. We're gonna get Old Man
Or I wonder if
Logan.
we'll get like Weapon X in the story, like of the game.
What if that's how it opens? Is you breaking out of
Or maybe
the
like a
Prince facility?
flashback that you play as. Like you play the
Mm.
flashback. You know how Sony loves their flashbacks.
They do love their flashbacks. Yeah, that's true.
They're playable flashbacks, you know.
Gosh, dude. I can't wait for that
Hmm.
game. I can't wait. Oh my gosh, it's gonna be so good. It's funny we're talking about suits.
Yeah.
I'm about to skip over the thing before we get into the suits. I wanted to touch on the whole inclusivity thing real quick because I know that was a concern, not just within our community, but just across the internet as a whole.
Yeah.
Um, like obviously there's some LGBT stuff in there. It is what it is. I just kind of glossed over it because I'm like, I mean, it's there. Plus, I mean, a school in New York, I can see it. It is what it is. But I
Yeah.
think what people were talking about in the review section when they were talking about inclusivity as a whole is not just that specific nugget, but with Haley, who, dude, again, Haley was one of my favorite characters in this game. I freaking love that character. Just her dignity, how she carries herself, her artistry, just so cool. And it was so awesome seeing Miles Genki and them all signing together and doing that stuff. I'm like, man, I wish I
Yeah.
knew sign language so I could keep up with it. I have to read subtitles here and I'm missing the thing, so I'm not learning. But just
Yeah.
seeing the other characters at their academy kind of signing with her, and it was cool. And that side mission or side quest that you do with her, where
Right.
the sound is dampened and you don't really hear anything, but you're doing art and stuff that kind of gave me flashbacks to Infamous Second Son when you shake the controller and then you hold the
Yeah.
trigger down and
Yeah.
spray it.
You're right.
Um, but then you wind up meeting this other girl who's kind of like doing her tags, and she's like, oh well, Haley's mad at me, and she's like, no, we have this cool like collective thing where we all do art together and try to spread just goodness in the community. I'm like, dude, Haley's a great character.
Hmm.
Like she is so rooted that I love that she is to Miles what Mary Jane was to Spider-Man or to Peter Parker. It's just they're so
Oh,
stinking cute.
she's going to be, yeah, maybe even like a better counterpart in some ways than Mary
Yeah,
Jane is to Peter. As far as like positive influence,
yeah,
not that Mary Jane's a negative influence, but
yeah,
I just think I could see. Yeah, I really love this character. I
yeah,
love where they're going with it. I love that.
yeah,
Most of the game they're kind of working up to him, asking her out.
Yeah.
and all this kind of stuff.
So
And I
cute,
love
man.
how when she's like, yeah, I think I can try to fit it into my schedule.
Yeah, giving him that sass, dude.
Yeah, I liked
It's
all
so
that.
good. So yeah, I
Uh,
want to touch on that just very briefly because I think that's what a lot of people were referencing there. Not just the LGBT stuff, but like that specific thing with Haley and just it was
yeah,
cool, man. It was really cool to see that. It's always interesting to see games do that, and even just kind of like them hearkening to Miles' culture and all that stuff
yeah.
is always cool. I still can't get over what was it? Was it the I think it was the Miles Morales DLC itself, where like it's around Christmas time. They're talking about all these different foods. I'm like, oh, bro, I eat those during Thanksgiving with my mother in law at their family. Oh my gosh, it's so cool. It's always cool to just kind of
Yeah.
see some of that stuff represented, and so that's
I,
always a good thing.
I would. This is kind of out of the blue, but I would be remiss. I wanted to not forget this. What did you think of the whole Coney Island section, where like you're at the like the festival and doing all the games and like what did you think of that section?
I'm of two minds about it. You know, ever since I started playing the Trail series and reading Brandon Sanderson, I've come to appreciate the kind of like slow moments where stuff gives you a moment to breathe and enjoy the characters and kind of connect with them and things like that. I do feel like that section went on a little too long though.
Okay.
Um, but at the same time, like it was cool to just kind of see Peter Parker, Mary Jane, and Harry Osborn just hang out and get that time together after being separated for so long. It's like I see the purpose this is serving. I don't know if I really wanted to play in this section as much as it's making me. Granted, I probably didn't need to do all the little mini games though, but I did anyway because I was curious.
Of
Um,
course.
so yeah,
You,
I'm kind of of two minds about it. I liked it because it allowed those characters to really have that moment of hanging out, being together, and enjoying that time. And then that dope reveal where Spider-Man's about to lose those roller coaster carts, and Harry shows up
hmm
with the Venom suit.
hmm
Um, but yeah, I think playing in it as long as it is maybe could have been cut down a little bit, but I thought it was fine overall.
hmm Yeah. Okay. No, I really enjoyed that section. I thought that was a good kind of like again going back to the like non-Spider-Man-y sections. Like I thought that
Hmm.
was really well implemented. And yeah, I guess I can see what you're saying being a little long in the tooth.
Yeah.
But I thought that was an especially fun section. You know, to kind of like, yeah, we're gonna have this little fun carnival, almost golden saucer like
Yeah.
kind of reprieve in
It
the
did
middle
have
of the
some golden
adventure.
saucer vibes. Yeah, it did.
So that was one thing that it made me kind of think of a little bit, but I just wanted to call that out
Yeah.
because that was quite the set piece.
I'll say this. That section was way better than when you first go to the oh, what's that foundation called?
Oh, the Emily May
Yeah, I was like, dude,
Foundation.
yeah, I got there. I was like, I'm not feeling this at
It was
all, man.
huge.
It was that, and yeah, it was huge.
Yeah,
Like
I
I had to go to
felt like
everything.
there was so much in there to explore. It's that kind of thing where like I'm the type of player where like I want to go look at all this stuff
Yeah, that
and
was my
everything
problem
that I
too.
can press X on, I want to press X on it.
Yeah,
And it's just that would take an hour. You know, and do
yeah,
you want to be doing that section for an hour? You know, that's that kind of thing. So yeah, it's a lot there. Those are the kind of sections where it's like, you know, developers spent, you know, 3 months building this one corner of the world and like two people are going to see it kind of thing.
yeah.
Um, but that's just the kind of, you know, that production per square inch that Sony puts into their games. But
Hmm.
yeah, both of those sections were like, wow, this is a
Yeah.
little bit overwhelming. But yeah, anyway.
Dude, one last thing before we get into some of our favorite suits. I completely forgot to even bring this up. Is that at the end of the game, we finally get introduced to Miles' mom's boyfriend.
Oh yeah, I was going to
And
bring this up.
when I saw it, I was like, wait, who's this guy? Whatever. I'm like, okay, cool. That's not a villain like I thought it was. And then he goes, oh, and this is my daughter, Cindy. And I'm like, wait a minute. Is this who I think? I had to look it up. It's
Yeah,
freaking Silk.
no, I didn't know that at all.
Oh,
You know, I looked it up too because I was like, okay, well, this is clearly something. It's
yeah.
the like post credits scene.
Yeah.
So yeah, Silk.
Bro.
I know virtually nothing about her. That's
The
cool. Like I'm down. Like if they're going to introduce a third Spider-Man, playable Spider-Man, that's cool.
Yeah. The
Uh,
only thing I know about her, besides her being a really dope card of Marvel Snap, um, is that she was bit by the same spider that bit Peter Parker. how that's possible, I don't know, is beyond me. But
Okay.
I'm
Yeah,
like,
no, I'm curious to get more into it because really, the games helped me get a little bit more into. I'd say that and the movies, the Into the Spider-Verse movies, got more
yeah,
into the Miles character,
yeah,
which I didn't. I didn't read the comics and stuff of his origin and all that
yeah,
stuff. So same thing here, and I'm down to dive into that. So yeah, that was like okay, that just completely went over my head. Like I don't know who's Cindy. I don't know, so I had to go look it
yeah,
up,
yeah, man.
and sure enough, yeah.
So you just because you said getting used to the Miles character, not knowing about him and stuff. The reason why I think they might kill Spider Man or Peter Parker off, is because that's how Miles came to be Spider Man. In the ultimate line of the comics, the Sinister Six
Mm.
kills Peter Parker, and then a couple issues later or something, Miles gets bit by his spider, and then he becomes Spider
Well,
Man.
that was the actual going back to the final chapter thing that Otto says. That was the
Hmm.
other comic I remember was that
Ah, okay,
Norman like conjures up these five other
yeah,
beings or villains or something like that, and so maybe yeah, maybe they'll kill
yeah,
Peter. I don't
I don't
know.
know,
I'm
yeah.
not sure.
And then it's gonna be up to Miles and Cindy to keep New York safe.
Yeah,
Man. Yeah,
that'd be something
that's gonna
else.
be really fun getting to learn more about Silk. Maybe the DLC will be her.
If we get a little
Huh.
bit more just FaceTime of Cindy, if nothing else, that
Yeah,
would be nice.
yeah,
To kind of let's hear the voice actor, voice actress. Let's see how she,
yeah.
all that kind of stuff. Um, we keep saying DLC like it's inevitable. Are we getting Spider-Man 2 DLC?
I would think so. Only because, like, I mean, the Miles Morales one did so well, and then the what is it, City That Never Sleeps? I think did
Yeah, well,
well.
yeah. That the city that never sleeps is the DLC, but Miles Morales is its own game.
Oh, is that not
So
considered DLC?
I wouldn't consider that
Oh
DLC.
crap. Okay. Huh.
Like it's like Uncharted: The Lost Legacy. Like it's a
Okay.
$40 game. It's like
Mm,
yeah, this isn't
yeah,
a full game, but I wouldn't consider it DLC.
that's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah.
But I guess part of my line of questioning is that I feel like DLC is going out of style.
Do you think?
Like who wants to play a game 4 months after you got done playing the game?
Yeah.
It's like you're not good anymore. You lost all
Yeah.
your, muscle memory and everything of how to control the game and then it tosses you into these like situations where it expects you to be proficient like you just
Yeah.
beaten the game. And you're like, well, I don't even remember how to block.
Yeah.
It like I feel like
It's true.
DLC oftentimes is like just suffers from like, oh, I've kind of moved on.
Yeah.
Now, with that said, with the way that they did the DLC for the first Spider-Man, it was like a month or two afterwards. It was like boom, boom,
Yeah.
boom. They hit it. The game came out, I think, September, and then they hit like October, November, December, and they
Yeah.
had their 3 episodes. That's exactly how it was. I know for a
Yeah.
fact. So, and we've heard nothing about that for
That's
this
true.
game. So,
Hmm.
yeah, it could take a little bit longer. Maybe they'll just do one chunk DLC, one big chunk instead
Yeah.
of 3 episodes. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. Hmm.
Either way, anything they put out, whether it be Miles 2, Spider-Man 2 DLC, I'm gonna gobble it up.
Yeah. Oh, same here. Same here. I'll absolutely jump into it. But now let's kind of round out this particular section. I mean, dude, one of the best things about comic books is all the different ways that they dress up the superhero, and they allow you to do that in this game. And I gotta say, the suits in this game,
Yeah.
hot diggity, dog. There's a few that I was missing, but I'll get to those here in a second after I read Sojourner's write-in. It says, let's hear your favorite Spidey suits in the game. Mine are the Scarlet Spider suit for Peter and the Absolute Carnage suit for Miles. Now, I've got my list here, but I'm a little disappointed that for Peter, he's missing the suit where it's like a Fantastic Four suit and a paper bag over his head. That was just hilarious
Yeah.
in the last game. And the one where he just has the mask and he's in a pair of undies. That was just a
Mhm.
goofy, fun one to swing around New York. But those two are missing from this game, unfortunately. But they still
Yeah.
gave us plenty of good ones, man. Let's talk about Peter, then switch over to Miles. What are some of your favorite suits for Peter?
Yeah, I'm scrolling back through. I posted this IGN article in here in the show notes just to kind of have this handy. I think one of my favorite ones, and it was a cool trick when they did it. I think the first time they did it was with the Miles Morales game, but the Into the Spider-Verse noir suit,
Yes.
the Nicolas Cage character.
Mm-hmm.
It does that whole what is it 20 like
24
19
frames or
frames,
something like
20
that. Yeah.
24 frames a second,
Yeah.
while everything else is 60 or 120 or whatever the heck
It's
it's running at.
it's so cool looking.
It's one of the coolest effects. Like, just the character moving at 24 frames while everything else in the world is moving at 60 or whatever it is you have it set at.
Yeah.
It's so cool. And
Mhm.
just that suit, it's great for photo mode. You
Yep.
know me. So I love that suit. And the other Peter suit I wanted to shout out, I was kind of surprised to see it, but I love the suit. It's the Secret Wars Civil War suit where he's like decked out ready for war. He's
Yeah.
got these kind of like goggles over his mask and
Yeah.
stuff. I like that suit a lot. Of course, I gotta shout out just the black suit, just the
Yeah.
one you get in the game
Yeah.
for Peter. I'll wear that all the time,
Mhm.
no problem.
They
But yeah,
did a good they did a
those are
really good
some of
job
my
with that one.
favorites for Peter. How about you, man?
Man. So I booted the game up earlier and just kind of cycled through them. And I was like, okay, what ones did I really like? Which ones did I use the most? And so for Peter, I've got 5 that I want to mention. The first one is, I mean, you can't go wrong with the classic suit. The classic suit just looks great. No, it
No,
just you can't go wrong with it. So good. It's always good. The other one I liked a lot was the Scarlet 3 suit, which was like this blue suit with kind of like a hood over them and like a kind of angular spider thing. That was super cool. The 2099 suit is one of my go-to suits,
of
especially with
course.
this one, how you can change the styles of them, man. I did the black on white version of that. Oh, it looks so clean. So
Yeah,
clean.
all the different
Um,
color variations, by the way,
dude,
were like just
so
icing on
good.
the cake.
Yes.
You would get the suit, you'd be like, "Oh, dude, yes," and then you look at the colors, like, "Dude, yes!" Like this
Yes.
color over here, like,
Yes.
whoa, so
Oh
good.
man, like Miles had several of those like that where it was black and gold or black and yellow. I'm like, dude, that's what I'm rocking. Oh my gosh, that's so clean.
Yeah.
The other 2 suits I definitely used a lot were the web suit. It was Tobey Maguire's suit from the old Spider-Man movies. Just
Mhm.
that's the one I
Yep.
grew up with, man. A lot of nostalgia tied to that suit. I think it still looks great. I wish
Yeah.
the eyes, they could have moved a little bit, been more expressive, but it's still sleek. It's still cool. It's still what I remember. And then the other one that has this one specific style to it, the classic black suit. When you
Yeah.
unlock this one style for it, where it has like a almost like a neon nightlight sort of shimmer thing on the edge of it, that's similar to how Venom looked in the animated series. I'm like, dude, this is awesome.
Yeah.
So
That was the one that they were probably holding back in the first game that they
yeah,
should have released if they were not leading to like Venom stuff in
yeah,
the second game ultimately. But yeah, that I agree. That one was
it was.
super slick and maybe preferable over even the regular symbiote suit you get in the game.
I know when I was doing all the collectible stuff and going for the platinum, that's what I wore the entire time. I was like, look, Insomniac, you did great on the symbiote suit. Don't get me wrong. It looks cool. I like how it looks like it's moving and pulsating, but man, there's this classic. Oh boy.
My problem, Logan, is that you know how I can get into photo mode and just spend
Mhm.
hours and hours in there.
Yep.
I'll painstakingly go and get the perfect angle and then the perfect depth of field and all
Mhm.
this stuff, and then it's like, oh, I can just swap out suits too with
Yep.
this everything that I've set up and just swap out the suits. And then I was like, okay, well, which suit do I want to wear for this
Yep.
shot? So it's like overload of like how I want to do this stuff. But
And
yeah,
then you
having the black suit. Sorry, go ahead.
I
What
was
were
gonna
you
say, and
saying?
then you wind up taking a shot with every suit in the game for that one.
I for real have someone where it's like it's the same shot with 7 different suits. I kid you not. Just sitting on my PlayStation, like which one am I going to post to Twitter?
That's awesome.
But
That's awesome.
I forgot about this one too. I wanted to shout out the suit that you get after completing all the Craven the Hunter bases.
Mm,
The last hunt suit
yeah, with
with
the
this kind of
mane.
like
Mhm.
the lion's mane kind of thing around
That
the
was
neck.
cool.
It's a great it's for both Peter and Miles. I
Yeah,
like that one a lot too, as far as just like, oh, this was unexpected. I like
yeah,
this.
yeah. Dude,
Um
okay, do you have any more? Because you said unexpected.
well, no, I was about to transition to Miles, unless you have
Yeah.
some more Peter ones.
No, no, I've got one for Miles that I was
Go ahead
told.
then.
Oh my gosh, dude, Miles has a suit called Best There Is, and it's literally a Wolverine outfit. I was just like, "Wait, what?"
Yep.
What? And it
Yeah.
looks good too with the hoodie on and the suit thing. It reminded me a little more of Nyx, which is Wolverine's daughter. But I'm like, this is still it's so good. Now I'm like, dang it, Insomniac, give me that Wolverine game. Oh,
Man, I'm scrolling back through them, and there's too many good ones. That's the thing. Like at any given time, like you're just playing the game, and you're like, I
mhm.
want to wear every suit.
All of these, yeah, yeah,
Every single one of these suits I wanna wear.
yeah, man.
The only thing that kills me is, like, you get into, say, like, the Wolverine suit, or there's this, like, Dark Ages suit for Miles that's really wicked looking, and
Hmm.
then you go into a cutscene, it's like,
It's like I don't
it
know if I
kinda
like
takes
this
me out
anymore.
of it a little
Yeah,
bit, you know?
yeah.
That's the only thing I don't like about that kinda stuff, but,
Hmm.
a couple of the Miles suits I like were this was in Miles Morales too, but his, sportswear, where he's got the jacket and the hoodie. I just
Mm,
love that, like,
yeah.
that blue jacket and the hoodie on, just, like, when before he gets, like, a suit. I love that costume, that's a classic one that carries over, and
Hmm.
then the new one for this game was the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. suit
Oh yeah, that
that
one's cool.
Miles gets. That's a really cool, clean suit. It's basically blue and white, or you can get, like, a black version, and there's, like, a
Mhm.
couple of gray versions with some different colors.
Yeah.
It's really clean looking suit. I like that Miles one
I gotta
as
say,
well.
I really love how Insomniac went through just the time and effort to not only put these suits in the game, but to give us different styles that some of them harken back to like comic book stuff. And
So
I'm
many
just
Easter
like,
eggs.
dude, I seriously, they did a great job, you know. But
Mhm.
but yeah.
Yeah, all these suits, all the different Easter eggs they put in through the game. I mean, this is just like a comic book fan's dream as
Hmm.
far as all the different stuff they put in here. Um, yeah, I'm scrolling through just reminiscing or just remembering all these suits. Oh, the city sound suit where you get after
Yep.
getting all the culture museum stuff, and it's
That
like
was
got
one of
the
mine.
top hat.
Top hat and the sweater vest, dude. I love that suit. It was so cool looking,
Dude,
man.
that's so swanky, man. Oh,
That suit took me back into college because college was when I started getting into jazz a lot and really just getting into it and enjoying it. And man, I was like, dude, this is so good. So
hmm
good. So good. Man, so that's one that I had written down. One of the other ones I had written down is the Forever suit for Wakanda Forever, where it's basically a Black
uh
Panther
huh.
suit. Dude, that one was sick. I think you could get it where it was like one of the styles was black with a purple tint to it.
hmm
Man, it looked cool, and I was wondering why. Like when I unlocked it, I was like, "Why does this look like Black Panther?" And it took me like several gameplay sessions to realize it was called the Forever suit. I'm like, "Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Wakanda Forever. That's right." But yeah,
100%.
no, just so cool.
Logan, there's some controversy, I think, in the final suit you get in the story as Miles, the evolved
Mm,
suit with where
mhm,
his hair's out at the
mhm.
top. Do you like this suit, or do you thumbs down on this one?
I don't really like it. I saw somewhere. I think it's either Chris Reagan or oh crap, what Dustin Furman, one of them tweeted out that it apparently was a collaboration with Adidas, and I'm like, "Oh, I like it even less now." Like,
He is wearing Adidas's. I think he wears them just in general, though. So, but maybe they just had more input on the design.
yeah, I don't know. I didn't really it was weird because, like, the blue stuff that formed, I guess, kinda like an X or something or went down his arms, made me think of, like, Pop-Tart jelly filling, and I'm like, "I'm not feeling
Yeah,
this. This is a little." I mean, when you would see when he would use his venom powers, it would kinda, like, fill with, like, electricity. I'm like, "Okay, that's kinda cool,"
yeah,
but
that's the point of it. But yeah, someone said it reminds them of like Colgate toothpaste
yeah, oh,
when you
dude,
look
yeah,
at it.
that's way better than my Pop-Tart thing. Yeah, that's exactly it.
And I do like the suit. I like the hair hanging out the top and stuff, but
Mhm.
I don't love the colors they chose. Maybe
Yeah,
like I don't love the blue.
yeah,
The suit's fine though. I do like it. I don't love it though. But anyway, it
yeah.
was just like is this what he's wearing in Miles Morales too?
I
That
hope
kind of
not.
thing. Like I
I hope
wonder. Like
not.
please no.
Just give me his old suit at this point, man.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Uh,
If it's not broke, you don't need to fix it.
sure
But
enough.
you mentioned this one with Peter, and this was one of my favorites for Miles. Is Across the Spider Verse for the same reason. That cool effect of him being kind of jittery and stuff, but also because I had
Yeah.
watched the movie recently, and all I could think about was like, are you bleeding from your armpits? What's that red line for? It's just
Yeah.
how they kept making fun of him in the movie
Yeah.
for his new suit. But yeah, that
That
was good.
that one and the I'm trying to find the name of it, the Into the Spider-Verse
Hmm.
SB suit where he's just got like that yellow cape and it's that first kind of like goofy
Yeah,
suit he has as a kid.
yeah, yeah. That was a good
Um
one too. Is it safe to say that Miles wound up getting like better, like more better suits than Peter Parker here? Because I'm looking at my list. I have way more
I
suits
think
for
so.
Miles.
As I'm just scrolling through, I think I also love the Miles Morales 2020 suit. That was also in the old game.
Mm,
That
with
that suit,
the Daft Punk helmet thing. Yeah,
yes, that suit kicks
it's
butt.
cool.
It. Yeah, yeah, you're right. Miles does have the better end of the stick when it
Hmm.
comes to the suits. Even like basic ones, like the track suit for Miles, are cool in
Mm,
different color schemes. Like I
hmm.
could rock that, no problem.
You know what one I found myself using a lot, surprisingly? And I don't know if this came with the deluxe edition or what, but the Tokusatsu one, where it's kind of like a Power Ranger sort of look to it.
Oh, I think maybe so because I don't. Let me scroll down. I don't see that one, or I don't recognize that one. Yeah, no, I don't think I had that one.
Oh man, dude, it was cool. I liked it. It just had the Power Ranger vibe to it, man. I liked it a lot. I
Yeah,
know,
there it is. Yeah,
I know a friend of the show and patron of the show, Wesley Ray would really dig it because he's the Henshin dad. So
100%. Yeah, no, I didn't cough up the extra for the bonus edition.
man, dude, it's a cool suit. But I
Yeah,
mean,
it
my
is.
I think it's safe to say Miles has the best suits. I
Yeah,
just there's just so many that are just so cool.
agreed
There,
on that one.
there's one, and it might have been one that you mentioned earlier, where he has like a red logo thing, some like spikes coming out of his shoulder a little bit, some like tape wrapped around his wrist. That the
Hmm.
logo, I'm like, dude, oh, this is like a nullified version of it. Like Null is the leader of the symbiotes, and he can like corrupt heroes and turn them into a nullified version. But
Mm,
it was cool. It was one of my favorites. But then it's like what you said. You throw it in a cutscene, you're like, oh, never mind. This
right.
is a little weird, but
Yeah.
still cool. I just,
Yeah.
again, I greatly appreciate Insomniac just taking the time and effort to really dig into some of the comic books and bring some of those suits out and then just putting them in the game. I mean, there really is a suit for everyone, every kind
Yeah.
of comic book fan in this game. And it's awesome, man. I love it. I love it.
Yeah. 100%. I'm just scrolling through and just looking at these suits and loving them all over again. So
Yeah,
I'm
man.
just gonna do this for another 30 minutes.
Yeah. It's so good. It's so good. But with that being said, that kind of rounds out our time on Spider-Man 2. Micah, do you have any other closing thoughts on Spider-Man 2 before we start
And
winding down
I
this road?
don't think so. I think I got most everything out of my system. I mentioned it last episode, but last thing I want to mention is just you got to play as Venom in
Hmm.
this game. As soon
That
as
was a
he
cool
like
surprise.
became Venom, you got to play as him. So that was ultra cool. Didn't
Hmm.
want to leave that out. Um, yeah, super excited about where the future goes. Love these games. Love Insomniac. It's a dream situation for me for one of my favorite developers in Insomniac to be touching one of my favorite characters ever in Spider-Man.
Yeah.
This is a dream come true that these games are even happening for me right now. So this is so far up my alley. It's not even funny. I'm just enjoying the ride, and yeah, let's keep it rolling.
Yep. I agree, man. I can't wait to see what Insomniac does next. Greatly looking forward to that Wolverine game and just seeing what they do with it. And yeah, it's a good time. So, dear listeners, if you have played Spider-Man 2, let us know your thoughts. Maybe there's something we didn't get to touch on. There's something you want to talk about specifically. Let us know in the places that we exist, whether it's YouTube, it is the Discord server, it's on Twitter, those different places. And let's continue talking about one of 2023's best video games that we've gotten to play. But with that being said, that is bringing our episode to a close. But before we do, this is the second episode of the month, which means it is time for us to shout out the lovely folks over on Patreon who have been supporting us this month and have allowed us to continue doing what we do here on the podcast. And those people are Aaron L. White, Alan Z, Alex Castellanos, Boulder, Chris Freeman, Christopher Commander, David Matthews, Derek Smith, Dorian Taylor, Hunter Blake, Jake Walker, Jimmy Chonga, Joanne Monroe, John Carr, John Hannon, Jonathan Harrison, Josh Broccolo, Korodaki, Mandelbrot, 86, Matthew Millsap,
Melvin Benson the Fifth, Micah Hendrick, Michael Toller, Mr. B, Nate McKeever, Richard Marroquin, Ryan1701E, Sam White, Scruffosaurus, Sojourner, Third Strongest Mole, Tim Syriac, Travis Webb, Vincent Yu, Wesley Ray, Xavier Medina, and Yuki Alley. Thank you, patrons.
Thank you, y'all, again for allowing us to do what we do here at TRG. But with that being said, again, this won't be an episode of TRG without some recos. Micah, what are some of the things that our dear listeners should check out? Obviously, besides Spider-Man 2.
Of course. The thing I wrote down here is the Game Awards. The nominations just came out for Jeff Keighley's, I think, 11th annual Game Awards.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I said something on the air last time. This is quickly becoming one of my favorite annual events in the video game industry. And we're going to be streaming this bad boy, or having a watch party or whatever the heck you call it over in Discord, in one way, shape, or form. So come hang out with us as we wind down 2023 and have a blast. Let's laugh at all the dumb celebrities that Jeff wants to bring on stage. Let's ooh and ah at all the fun new trailers, and let's all say that the game that won this award shouldn't have won that award. So it's a good time. So the Game Awards, check out the nominations, sound off on, we're already talking about some of it, sound off on like who got snubbed. By the way, real quick question, Logan, who did you think got snubbed? My number one snub is Hogwarts Legacy, just in general, no nominations whatsoever.
That's one that stood out to me the most because when I didn't see it get nominated for Game of the Year, I was like, okay, fine, I get it. There's a lot of games this year, but when I see it didn't get nominated for anything, I'm like, okay, really?
Yeah.
Not one single nomination for any of the. Okay. That's really bizarre to me. I was also surprised to see that like Starfield is in as few categories as it is. I thought it'd be in more, but I guess it is what it is. But I think Hogwarts Legacy is definitely the most glaring one that it's just not nominated for anything. It's I mean, it is what it is. The people on the board, voted the way they did. I just think it's I'm not going to pretend to know what their motivations were and all that stuff. It was a crazy year to begin with. I will say that, and I will try to be generous with this, but I think that definitely got the biggest snub out of anything.
Sure,
is that one there? I would wholeheartedly agree with that. Hey, Hogwarts Legacy is an awesome game. Just came out on the Switch, so hopefully more people can enjoy it. Really great game. And now that me and my wife are watching the Harry Potter movies because it's the winter season, I kind of want to go back and play it a little bit and see what I can do differently. But yeah, good time. Still though, what a year for games. My recos are I have in here in the document Princess Mononoke, but really any Studio Ghibli film, just because as I'm teaching animation and teaching students to appreciate animation through the different forms of it, and kind of and introducing them to anime specifically, because a lot of them have never even seen anime before, outside of maybe Pokemon. It really just blows my mind at how just creative people can really be, and specifically Studio Ghibli. Like their videos are true feasts for the eyes. They really set the bar for a lot of storytelling and animation stuff. It's really incredible. If you have never seen a Studio Ghibli film, I highly recommend you go check those out. If you have Max, which was formerly known as HBO Max, all the Studio Ghibli movies are on there. My personal recommendations would either be Spirited Away, Princess Mononoke, or Howl's Moving Castle. But any of those movies are really rock solid. There's a new one coming out here pretty soon called The Boy and the Heron that apparently Robert Pattinson voices one of the main characters in it. And when I listened to him in the trailer, I'm like, that doesn't sound like Robert Pattinson. I was like, what? That's Robert Pattinson, the old sparkly vampire dude who's now the dark brooding Batman? Are you kidding me? Just wild. Absolutely wild. So definitely go check this out. If you are feeling in the mood for more spooky stuff, maybe you're playing Alan Wake 2, I want to also recommend Micah's new show, Goosebumps, that I've been watching on Hulu, which is really great. I say it's Micah's new show because it has Justin Long in it, who, dude, this guy can act. Micah, you are so talented, man. It is.
I know it.
Wild.
It's my doppelganger.
It's just wild, man. It's wild. But no, for real, I have been really surprised by this Goosebumps show and how it's taken the books that I read as a kid and adapted them for modern times, not in like a creepy or weird way. It's a good job, man. It's cool reliving some of these stories, seeing them retold. And Slappy is way scarier this around like, oh my gosh. Yeah, go check out Studio Ghibli if you want to feel good about yourself, if you want to be scared for the rest of your life and maybe look at Micah and be unsure if he's a ghost or not. Go check out Goosebumps on Hulu. Those are my 2 recos for you there. But with that being said, that brings this episode of TRG to a close. As always, if there's something you want to talk about Spider-Man 2 related, let us know in the various places that we exist, whether that is YouTube, Discord, Twitter, all those places. Links to everything will be in your show notes, and those are ways to get connected. But yeah, definitely join the Discord. Have a lot of fun. You might even wind up with a kick pedal for your old rock band setup or anything like that. I don't know. That was a little throwback to the previous episode. But with that being said, dear listeners, thank you again for listening to this episode. Until next time, be a dear, keep it locked here, and we'll see you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to TRG. This show is fully supported over on patreon.com by our dear listeners. The following are our supporters at the producer level or higher, and we are thankful for their continued support that allows us to continue doing what we do here at TRG. Those people are Mr. Butts, David Matthews, Richard Marroquin, and Alan Z. Thank you again for your continued support over on patreon.com, where you can pledge your support to the show and get early uncut access to all of our episodes, behind the scenes, and more. Thank you for listening, and until next time, be a dear, keep it locked here. We'll see you in the next episode.